city. Politics, progress, game boards, objects viewed like pawns till we change up our mindset. Value of the dollars at the center of this conflict. Their lives only matter if they serve to make a profit. But if a midget sees further on the shoulders of the giant, then we should see further than the tyrant and build a future within the alliance where success is our science in the quest to go higher. It's the heart of the city. Wake up, world. You're watching Heart City TV. I'm your host, Malik Boyd. I hope that wherever you are, you're in good spirits and all is truly well. Today's show topic is a special one to me, songs in the key of life. For many, if you don't know, I had a previous life in the music industry, and so music is a very, very, very passionate heartstring for me. And so I'm excited about this topic. The focus point, though, however, is placing and playing the notes of change, healing, education, and empowerment inside of our community. And so what does our community sound like? What are the notes that we play with each other, to each other, and to the broader community as a whole? Those are all the questions that we're going to tackle with our amazing guest today. For those who are watching the news feeds, yes, President Biden conducted a town hall last evening where he was asked a slew of questions from all walks of life across the country, not just the coronavirus vaccine, but talking about student debt cancellation and other pertinent issues. And today, a very hot topic indeed, Congressional Black Caucus is safe to say feeling a little antsy about President Biden's position on canceling student debt. 43 million Americans will be affected by his current position, which simply says, look, I truly understand the pain and the impact, but I believe that there are other ways to allocate this money to those who are underserved and make a difference. Canceling student debt may not be the wise solution. For those who are on the opposite side of the fence, they're saying, listen, at the end of the day, student debt has been essentially one of the most responsible causes for individuals to stay in lower income brackets, to take jobs that they would not have normally taken, place themselves in poverty positions just to survive, because the debt is insurmountable, ongoing, and constantly accumulating, constantly hanging around their neck like an anvil. And so for many, the decision not to alleviate $50,000 of debt is a major discussion point. We'll let you know how that continues to progress as the days go forward. In the midst of that, we are still having some pretty interesting issues around the country. Asian Americans around the United States are impacted by acts of violence towards them. For those who perpetrated that, Asian Americans and Asians in general were fully responsible for the coronavirus, COVID-19. Those who errantly suggested that this was a Chinese flu or a Chinese virus. As a result of those kind of slanderous words and misinformation, quite frankly, people are losing their lives. We watched, and we will not play here, some of the videos that have gone around the media, but just to watch individuals hurt, elderly, men and women in the space simply because of a slanderous and false pretense around responsibility of a virus that, quite frankly, if we're all going to tell the truth, there's some of our folk that chose not to wear their mask. There are some of our folk who chose to travel despite some of the travel restrictions. Y'all know who you are, faking letterheads, acting like you're going to the DR for work. There's no work for you in the DR. For those who went to Miami and hung out on the beach, those who said, I'm going on vacation anyway. And don't really care what happens, because that's essentially what you do when you defy some of these restrictions. For those who have block parties, we saw that even here in Philadelphia, 200, 300 people accumulated on a block, a spreader event indeed. It's hard to yell at Trump folk. It's hard to yell at others when we all have potentially played a role in creating the spread. The issue here is understanding that now more than ever, we have to get over this COVID hump. We have to get the vaccines out in a very effective way, and the blame game has to stop. Now we have to focus on action. And I'm excited about those who are doing just that in the community, who understand their point and position in the kingdom and in the community where we stand. One such individual, I love him to death. He's a big brother, uncle. He's a grandpop to some. He wouldn't like it if I called him grandpop in that space. He's a golf partner. He's a mentor. He's a blessing, keyword, to many across the space. None other than Bishop Stephen Avenger. I am so excited to have you with us today, Bishop. It's good to have you back in the building, virtually on Heart City.
Always good to be with you, man. This is a great show, and you are contributing a lot to the conversation in our community today.
No, so I appreciate you. I know that you're doing tremendous work. We'll talk about that post the prayer, but there is much work to be done in the community. Just because the elections are over does not mean the problems and the challenges are over. If we know anything and have taken anything from the election of 2008, it is not to rest on your laurels just because your favorite candidate, or favored candidate in this case, is in. The work still has to be done. And much of it isn't going to come out of 1600 Pennsylvania. Much of it is happening in the community, on the block, with organizations like the CDCs, the churches of which you are senior pastor, Greater St. Matthew Baptist Church right here in Philadelphia, and the churches that you as a bishop oversee and guide and direct. They are the ones that will continue to do this work and make an impact. And so with all that you're experiencing, all that you've seen, all that you know, both in the high profile media space and what you deal with on a daily basis, I'm going to ask you to lead us into our 2-minute prayer for the city.
Father, in Jesus' name, we are grateful for these moments that you give us to continue to grow and continue in our understanding of who you are. And even the fact that we can experience the things that we are experiencing today and still know that you're God and you are in control. And so we pray for the city, oh God, and we ask that you would continue to bless Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, bless the efforts of the officials who are governing in those spaces. We pray for our president and for the upper and lower chambers of the House of Representatives, that they might come together and do those things that will help people in this time of need. We pray for those who are hospitalized as a result of COVID-19. We pray for those families, oh God, that have lost loved ones as a result. And we know, God, that you're in the midst of this thing. And we pray that we would be the wiser and that we would understand even the more these testing grounds that you have us on. We pray, God, that someone will be blessed during this day, during this broadcast. We pray for our host. Continue, God, to give him wisdom even beyond his years. Bless us each together for good, and we'll be so careful to give you praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen, Pastor. Thank you so much for covering us in prayer. Let's talk about the city, specifically here, Philadelphia, of which your church is planted. This is where God has given you footprint and the opportunity to serve. What's happening on your side of the kingdom?
Well, like like many people, we have certainly been physically crippled in terms of our ability to come together and to do those things that we need to do. Right. But virtually, I mean, we have adapted to this new reality, and all of our programming is continuing to go on. God is allowing us even to begin to do some work in this area of COVID-19. As you know, Malik, there's a terrible testimony that this country has, which is African Americans and minority groups are not being vaccinated.
This is true.
Mean, that blows my mind. I live in Delaware, although my ministry is in Philadelphia. And I called the government and I asked them. I said, "What's going on with this COVID vaccine?" Yeah. And they said, "Well, there are absolutely no vaccines in Delaware." I said, "What?"
Wow.
None. I said, but when there were,
right,
40% of the white population received vaccines. 5% of the Black community received, and I did the research before I called them, and they couldn't even answer. I said, "Why is that?" They couldn't answer. And so it seems to me that we've got to be engaged in this process. So we've got this weekend, we have some testing going on in our parking lot. We are responding to a RFP by the city of Philadelphia that we hope to get in the next day or two, where we brought a consortium of churches in with us to be sites to do vaccinations. Right. We've got a group, the Association of Black Nurses, that have come alongside of us. And look, we're saying, if you all don't want to do it, give us the vaccine, and
we got
vaccine our own people. We don't.
Absolutely.
There's enough, and the Black church has always played that kind of role, right?
Yeah.
Through every crisis we've had, the Black church has been in the middle of, and so we've really have begun to focus our attention on being even more proactive in this area of COVID-19.
Now, I know you're also pushing heavy evangelism efforts, not just to spread the good news and the gospel, but also to talk about what's important in terms of safety within the community. There's a mask initiative that your evangelism team has embarked on. Talk a little bit about that and the response from the community.
So far, our team led by Pastor Joe Barnes, was doing a really good job going door to door, even in the midst of this situation. He's been leaving not only tips from our health ministry on the vaccine and what people need to be doing right now to stay safe. Then he also drops in a little note on there, in terms of what we are about, which is the gospel of spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. And then he leaves masks. We've given out hundreds of masks in the Tioga Nicetown area for free to the community, just as a gesture of our understanding where we are right now and what our responsibility is as the church in the community, and lending a hand. Believe it or not, there are people who probably did not have masks before we dropped them on those doorknobs, and so we're excited about that. There was a young lady who received them, and she was a committee person, I believe, and she did a little commercial, right, and posted it on Facebook, thanking the church for helping her to do her job, right, and passing out these masks and folk not having to worry about going to pay $4 and $5 for them, but they were on their door free. And we're continuing to do that throughout that community, along with our effort in feeding the hungry. We still open up on Thursday, and we've fed hundreds of people in that community, and you would not believe, people are hungry today.
They are,
and that we are in a crisis situation when it comes to food. And it's not just us now,
Right.
but the entire country. We've seen lines and lines and lines of cars, where people are at food banks just trying to get a bag of food. And so,
And to your point, it isn't just a homeless issue, because many, apply some of the food pantry programs to those who are right at the brink, in many cases, and we stereotype that space. But these are individuals who do have jobs, but
yeah,
there's more month than money at this point, and with
that's right.
COVID stretching that gap out even more, we're finding, that food banks and pantries are really essential for all of us, not just
Absolutely.
the some of us. And so
Absolutely.
I want people to understand that too, and to know that there are programs. If you are not comfortable going to certain programs, there are programs like what Dr. Avenger and Greater St. Matthew is doing, so that you can go there, feel comfortable, know
Absolutely.
that someone loves you, cares for you, is not trying to highlight you in any way, but more importantly, trying to empower you so that you can take care of your family.
Absolutely.
Bishop, in the midst of that, church still goes on. Sundays is a virtual service. You just conducted one this past Sunday, and a little
Absolutely.
birdie informed me that Bible study, the nation best be in the house this evening. And so, how the broadcast audience who may be out of the footprint of the Philadelphia area, or just in the Philadelphia area, and they desire to worship and learn and glean from other like-minded Christians, how they can connect with you and the nation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are located at, gee, I forgot our address.
That would be 1536 West.
1538 West Wing.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all
In
good.
Tioga, Nicetown. I was busy thinking of thinking of our website, right? And
Yeah.
look, at my age, I better go with what's right there on the top of my head, right? And so you're certainly welcome. We are trying to reopen on the third Sunday in March. If you need to ask questions or what have you, you can reach us at 215-455-3700 or GSMBC Philly, GSMBCphilly.org. And we will be more than happy to reach back out at you, whatever the issue may be. We'll be more than happy to try and address it and take care of your pain.
Doc, I appreciate you. Thankful for what God is doing in your life, and in the life of the ministry. We pray God's continued increase on you and the family. Doc, we love you and appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So we are now covered in prayer. I'm so excited that we have Bishop Stephen Avenger Sr. with us to do just that. Please make sure you check them out. We'll make sure that we post their information on our Facebook pages. I'm going to go right into this guest. Normally I would go into a break, but I really want to get this brother in. Quite frankly, I have not seen his face in some time. So just the fact that iron sharpens iron, this brother is one who I consider one of the sharpest in the space. Adama Bracewell, his company, Ready for Relationship. He's been in the space as an expert leader, facilitator, motivator. He's a family-based therapist, school-based clinician, and psychotherapist, doing some amazing work in helping us heal and grow in the space. His work is not just for those who think they are challenged with issues. We all can use some advice, some guidance around how to move forward and to be healthy in the space. And so I'm always honored to have Adama Bracewell in the building. It's amazing. I get to say Happy New Year to you finally and officially, my brother. It's good to see you. Welcome back home. I think we got you. We can't hear you. Let's see if we can get your audio. Check your audio feed. All right, so what we'll do Adam, I definitely want to talk to you. Stay put. Double check your audio feeds. I'm going to go to a break, and then on the other side, we'll bring back Adama Bracewell in the building. I'm really excited about him and what he has to say. So please stay tuned. Take out your stethoscope. You're watching Heart City TV. We'll be right back.
You ready to see what $2.5 trillion in spending power can really do? You ready to pool these resources and rebuild our infrastructure?
You ready to support your sisters and brothers that are building businesses at record rates?
This what trust looks like, what love looks like, what us looks like, yeah.
You ready to give back to the culture that's given you so much? You ready to continue the legacy of Black economic excellence? You ready to work hard and play harder? You ready to let the Black dollar circulate?
This what trust looks like, what love looks like, what us looks like, yeah. New type of leveling, new type of excellence.
You ready for a banking platform designed for us to win?
¿Estás listo para unirte en nuestra colección de soñadores?
You ready for this marathon to continue? You ready to bet on Black for real? Then get ready for Greenwood.
New type of leveling, new type of excellence.
This is our time.
We're back. You're watching Heart City TV. I'm your host, Malik Boyd. Please make sure you check out Bank Greenwood. It's an amazing platform. Really excited about the future of that platform. We're going to bring back in Adama. I'm really excited about him. I need you guys to get this information from this brother. Adama, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you, brother. Welcome home, man. It's good to have you back.
Thanks for having me back, man. I appreciate you always opening up your platform and letting me come in and talk to you. It's always an honor and a pleasure, brother.
Listen, you are one of those leaders that we truly respect and admire and appreciate the wisdom. Ready for a relationship. COVID made us think about a whole lot of stuff over 2020. How we handle our relationships, how we engage, and not just, as many people think relationships in the eros sense. Very romantic, but when we talk about relationships in business, in community, all of those things, we have to have healthy entry points and be able to engage in a very meaningful way. But COVID changed so much for us. If you were already in an unhealthy space, it exacerbated that and kind of increased some of the dysfunction. And so we're now looking at the new normal, whatever that still may be. How do we begin to manage, heal, and repair the broken state prior to COVID, and then stuff that we developed along the way during this year?
Yeah, COVID, it definitely was a test on relationships.
Yeah.
Whether it was a healthy relationship or unhealthy relationship, it tested the metal of what that relationship was made of. We went through a whole lot. People went through a whole lot. There was a lot of loss, a lot of death, a lot of grief. And aside from just COVID, we had a whole lot of, social unrest, which tested relationships. A lot of political issues going on, which also tested relationships. I've counseled a few relationships that actually were at odds because they were on two different sides of the political stage. They had two different opinions. So I had to talk to them about that. So this 2020 was definitely a test on relationships, and kind of like you said, if the relationship was healthy, if it was built on a good, strong foundation, a lot of relationships were able to weather the storms of COVID, 2020, and all the other things that happened. But if a relationship probably was built on a shaky, sandy foundation, a lot of them sunk. A lot of them was not able to fight against the waves and the tides that hit it during this time. You know, with you having to console a loved one that has lost a loved one. A lot of people weren't able to be there for that person that they claim that they love in the way that they needed to. So it definitely was a test, and it was a test of time.
You know what's interesting? I think about how we move in the space, and so many individuals feel, you know, that relationships have to be a give and take, and we hear that all the time. You know, you bring what you have to the table. I'm going to bring what I have to the table, and together we'll make an impact. We'll figure out what the formula is. I heard a saying just recently that kind of blew my mind, and I'd love to get your thoughts around this. He said, you know, relationships have to be, from your perspective, 100% to 0. And I was like, I don't really ride with that. I mean, so, you know, you got to at least bring the fire sauce packets to the table. If I bring the tacos, you got to at least bring the fire sauce, and vice versa. But his premise was, look, you've got to go into a relationship expecting that what you put in may not be matched. And many of the problems exist because we have these expectations of equal matching in certain spaces. And when the variance occurs, the discrepancies, the deficiency, and ultimately destruction happens. What's your thoughts around that? Because I know much of this is mindset in order for us to approach relationships in a healthy way.
When I hear that saying, I'm thinking selflessness. I'm thinking that the idea is to prepare yourself to enter a relationship with the mindset of being selfless, giving all that you have, doing all that you can in order to make that relationship stronger, in order to make that relationship grow, in spite of what the other person is doing. Now, I think by a natural flow of things, if there's no reciprocity in a relationship, it probably will destroy or end a relationship. Yeah. But if we go in knowing that we did all that we can to help this relationship grow, and we did all that we know how to, giving that 100%. And I think that's where the writer or the person that made that statement was coming from. That's definitely how I interpret it. I think we go into relationships with so many expectations. We go into relationships always looking to take. What can this person do for me? What do you bring to the table? What's your credit score, or what kind of job you have? Whatever it might be, we're always looking to receive. And I think when they say go into that 100%, you get into the mindset of I'm looking to give, and opposed to just looking to take from you. And I think if you have two people going into a relationship with that same mindset, then you're going to have a great relationship, because you have two people that's giving 100%. So hopefully the other person isn't giving 0%. I would hope not. I hope they're not giving 0%. But you can find somebody that's giving 100 and you're giving 100. That's a great thing to find.
You're gonna be all right. Exactly. And that works very well in, obviously the intimate relationship space. What about corporate relationships? I mean, because work relationships have changed due to COVID. I mean, we went from a corporate culture, for many of us who understood going into an office what the dynamics were, what the social group dynamics would be in the office, to now, if you didn't understand how to write emails before, didn't understand some of the subliminal language and word usage, you now have to perfect that, because we're now in this very virtual space where words matter, and additional reach out matters. And so it's no longer just brushing by someone in the hallway or in the aisle. This is now very deliberate, intentional communication from one coworker to another. And so for those who are in those kind of spaces, how do we manage and have healthy relationship as we talk about being productive in the workspace?
I think like any other relationship, even in a corporate relationship, communication is key. That constant communication, that constant follow up. Even with me now, I work from home.
Okay.
I'm making appointments online. With my full time, I'm communicating with my staff, through text, through phone, through email, and it's a constant level of communication that you have to maintain. You can't just walk away or leave a conversation. There has to be a lot of follow up. So I think it's that open communication that strengthens any relationship. I think it also applies to our corporate relationship, our work relationships. The same talking and sharing and compromising and I guess not only through email. Sometimes you have to pick up the phone. I have a lot of staff that they are great behind the email, but sometimes we have to pick up the phone and talk to each other because
Indeed.
things still get lost in translation through an email, or things might be confusing. So we have to pick up the phone and we have to communicate that way. And I think that is vital in the times that we're living in right now, where everything is going virtual. We have to communicate. We have to, if it's not phone, if it's not email, we might have to jump on Microsoft on Zoom and have these virtual meetings. So
Right.
it's all about communication, and we have to even step it up more now that we're not face to face in front of each other.
You drive home a really important point. I'll never forget sitting in Temple University in Annenberg talking about communications. And for many of us, we think, including myself, or I thought, that it was really simple. I have a thought. I'm going to project that thought in the way that I see it and comprehend it. You're going to grasp it because I believe that I'm, dictation using proper grammar. And you're just going to comprehend that, digest it, and get it. And if anybody's been in any kind of relationship, you understand that is not the case. In fact, there's 5 points by which communication can err. 2 of them starting internally, just within yourself, before you even get to broadcasting your message to another person. And so I really appreciate this focus on communication. Not just saving the corporate landscape, but saving our families and everyone else in the space. And so you have a book that you have communicated your thoughts to us, from relational hurt to spiritual healing. That's a very, very powerful topic. Talk about that book and what those who will open those pages will see from your perspective and from your analysis.
In that book, I speak about relational issues that we've gone through in life. But I think the unique thing about that book, I've written it in a devotional, and I've pulled biblical principles, biblical lessons, biblical stories, biblical characters. And I've tried to take their stories and align it with the things that we go through in everyday life with relationships, whether it's with communication or with building trust or dealing with rejection. There's one devotion in there, if I can specifically talk about this one, where it talks about when Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem, and he stopped in a town where they rejected him and say, hey, Jesus, no, you can't stay here for the night. And his disciples took that rejection to heart, and they wanted to pray to burn down the city. But Jesus rebuked them for that. And, all he did was pray for them, and he moved on to the next town.
Yeah.
So he knew that his destination was not tied to those individuals in that town. So, he didn't take the rejection personally. He wasn't hurt by it. He didn't become angry. He didn't develop any rage. He prayed for them and kept it moving. And I related that to how we sometimes, deal with rejection, or how we should deal with rejection, how sometimes we internalize it and we can become angry and bitter and revengeful when we feel rejected. But we have to also realize that the person that rejects us, that our destiny, the place that God is taking us to, that person isn't attached to it. So the fact that they rejected us, we can be okay with it, and we continue on our mission. So and throughout the book is just several different stories and illustrations similar to that.
Listen, you gave us a theme, right? That should be on the t-shirt. Keep it moving. That's a whole hashtag campaign within itself. But before we keep it moving, I need the broadcast audience to know where to purchase the book. How do they add this great work to their bookcase and bookshelf? And then more importantly, how do they connect with you as a whole? I know that you're doing sessions, advising in many various capacities. How do they connect with the brand that is Adama Bracewell?
Okay. Well, first I got to get you on one of those sessions, brother. Before in a couple of weeks, I got to get you on one.
Let's do it.
Anybody, we got to do it. And anybody that wants to connect me can just go to the website, readyforrelationship.com. That's the number 4. It's readyforrelationship.com. Or you can reach me on my YouTube. Now, a lot of the broadcasts that I do is broadcast live on my YouTube, which is also readyforrelationship.com. I think if you go to Facebook, punch in the same thing, I'll come up.
Listen, and I'll tell you, broadcast audience, I am going to follow up and engage my brother, because I want to, and we all should want to heal, grow, strengthen our ability to have healthy relationships. I honor you, brother. I love you, man, and the great work that you're doing in the community. This healing process is not easy. This isn't the sexy part. We all like, the spotlight, but behind the curtains, there's a lot going on in all of our lives, and it's not to be fearful of it, but to understand it, know how to deal with it, and to turn out a very healthy product. You help all of us do that, man, and we forever love you for it.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir, my brother. Take care. And so we've heard from Adama Bracewell, Ready for Relationships. Please make sure you purchase his books. It's so important for us to be prepared and be ready for relationship. We have relationships no matter what space we're in. If you think you're single, no, you still have relationships. How you handle your family, how you handle your community, how you handle your corporate and professional space. How we manage all of that is going to be so crucial as we move forward. Our next section is exciting because I have a juggernaut here. Y'all know her very well. Crabbe has done so much work, not just in the Delaware Valley, but around the country, dealing with issues of homelessness, ensuring that those who are less fortunate find fortune through service. She is indeed selfless. If you've ever spent some time with her, you know very clearly that she is a persona to truly be respected. She's not in any way, shape, or form going to take a no when she is determined to make sure that our people get what they need. And that kind of spirit, that kind of character is so crucial in these moments. And when we talk about CNN talked this morning about the political will and how the political landscape is going in a very centrist format, which is leaving much to be desired on both sides of the fence. And one congressman, who will go unnamed, he talked about political will, having the desire to say the thing that needs to be said, to do the thing that needs to be done. Crabbe does exactly that. I'm excited to have her with us on the EKGs. Jay is in the building. Welcome home. It's good to have you.
Oh my God, thank you for having me here.
And look, it's like I actually have to say Happy New Year. Like, this is the first time on the other side. But again, I'm seeing the work. I know that you're doing amazing work for our people. We love you and honor you for that. It's exciting to see what you're doing and how you're changing lives.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. And heard you say juggernaut. I'm like, who's that?
Listen, you are. Look, if we don't honor, I never want to be in a situation, and I promised God, that if he blessed this platform, I never want to be in a situation where we have so many great everyday heroes, but we only celebrate the high profile ones, right? Like, we've got to honor our folk who are doing the work. You may not, make CNN every day, but those who see you, honor you and appreciate you and love you for that. And we gotta promote that.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So talk about what's happening before we even go into the EKGs. What's happening on the ground? I mean, obviously, inclement weather has challenged many of those who are without homes. You just, concluded a very, very long, arduous, but in somewhat successful battle on the Parkway here in Philadelphia. It made national news. You stood in the forefront with those on the front lines to make sure that homelessness was addressed in the community. But you're doing this every day. This isn't like for the camera. This isn't for the gram. You do it when it's not sexy, when there's no camera on except yours on the Facebook Live for us to see you in sometimes late at night serving our underserved population. Talk about what's happening for them in the space. We're in a new legislative season, a new year. What are the things that we need to do? Those of us who understand their plight. How do we get behind you? How do we support you?
Okay. Well, yeah. So thank you again for that. So just like you said, we just finished a long battle with supporting our homeless friends in the encampments. We had 2 here. One was Camp Teddy and one was Camp JTV. So I just wanted to so it's an honor. It's an honor to see how okay that turned out. I won't say as well because about 95 of our homeless friends were placed in houses. Unfortunately, a lot of the houses are uninhabitable. Like, some of them don't have ceilings. Some of them, like, holes in the floor, don't have like proper equipment to give our homeless friends water and heat. So it certainly is a reason to celebrate because we've accomplished such a great thing. But also we got a lot more work to do. And just like you asked, you said, what can I suggest that a lot of our friends or people who want to serve our homeless friends, what can I suggest people do? And it's a couple of things. One, if you have a skill, you have a gift. Maybe you don't necessarily have a skill, but you have a desire to want to provide or assist our homeless friends, then I think that you should, because we can connect you with them. A lot of them don't have furniture, they don't have beds. So we still been providing food for them throughout the week. Just making sure they have things that they can survive off of, and I mean really good food too, not just scraps and leftovers. We give them the best, just like we want to have for ourselves. So it is it certainly is something to be proud of, but then it's like, okay,
right, it's still more work. I mean, you just said something that just blew my mind. So, because if you look at the press, and this is why I encourage the broadcast audience to go beyond just the media clip of what occurs, because if we go by that, they said these individuals received housing. In fact, people were angry. Well, wait a minute, I'm about to lose my house. How does someone just go out on the Parkway for a month and get a house? And then you turned around and said, look, some of these houses don't have water.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned doesn't have a ceiling. I can't even comprehend that. Like, to open up a door and look up because there's, literally no ceiling there. And so you're helping us kind of set the record straight.
Yeah.
This is not a social media stunt that turned into a housing initiative. These are individuals that were struggling.
Yes.
And in many ways still struggling, because even the proposed solution or the applied solution was not it. And so what are the things that we need to do for those who are connected to elected officials, connected to CDCs, connected to organizations of influence? What's an action step that we can do to re-raise this point of awareness?
Yeah. So first thing is first, I would talk about it. I would bring it up and I would ask very important, specific questions. Like, what are the conditions of the houses? In addition to the housing, what did you provide? Because a lot of times they'll provide like rental assistance, or they'll provide something that would be necessarily needed, but you got to think that if you suffer from a poverty mindset and a history of poverty, going into a house does not make you, it doesn't put you in a much better situation. It just puts you in a house, but you're still in a poverty mindset. So, and I know they won't want to take ownership or won't. They may say, well, it's not our responsibility, but it is, because these are humans. They are our citizens. There are people that, you know, roam around the city around our children. So for that reason alone, you should care. But I would pressure them and I would ask them, you know, what's going on with the houses? Like, you know, we have the funding, we have the resources to provide utility assistance. So why not get their utilities turned on? Some of them, you know, they still come to our feedings on Saturdays and they still look devastated. Like, honestly, most of them look the same as that way they looked while staying at the encampment. It doesn't, like, you don't see like beams of hope. You don't see like that excitement you once saw when they had the promises of they had the promises of houses. You saw like excitement. I mean, everybody, you saw like a glow because people had the desire and they believed the words that were coming and saying that they would have houses. But now that they're in the houses, they're like, well, like, what do we do next?
Yeah, what's next?
Yeah, so it is important to not only put them in a house, but like, okay, well, listen, this is how you maintain a house. And, you know, as far as the CDCs are concerned, other organizations, those of us who advertise all the work that we do, I think it's the time now to put it all into action. So if, you know, if your initiative is, hey, we got to stop the violence, then you got to go to the demographic that may not cause the violence, but are usually casualties of it. So you got to go to them. You got to help them. You got to support them. And sometimes, you know, you may not be able to physically give anything, but if you can let a person know that, hey, I'm here just in case, it gives you a little bit of hope and allows them to do, like, to make some moves and make decisions. But right now, they're still living in like a place of fear because they don't know if it's going to be taken from them. They don't know if the ceilings are going to collapse on them. Some of them were like housed. It's like 13 or 14 of them in like one house. So it is a blessing to no longer have to be on the street in the winter, but to be in a house in the winter with no heat is still
yeah, you're still in a challenging situation. And so, to your point, you know, achievement followed up by abandonment is no real achievement at all.
Go. That's it.
You know,
much better.
No, I mean, you're spot on with that. And so I'm encouraging the broadcast audience to listen to what Jay is saying, understand the seriousness of this issue. Go beyond the media clip. Begin to ask the questions, as Jay wisely challenged us to do. Get the details so you know what's real and what's not. And more importantly, go see it for yourself. Be like LeVar Burton. Don't take, you know, his word for it. Make sure that you go for yourself. And if nothing else, encourage one of your fellow brothers and sisters and let them know that you love them if you're not able to provide financial resource. But Jay, before we even go into the EKG, tell them how to connect with you. Those who are listening right now, following us on the YouTube and Facebook channel, how do they connect with you, get engaged, to offer support in various capacities?
Yeah, so it's really easy. Social media is definitely the go-to. So
indeed.
So if you have Instagram, you can follow us. Dope People Doing Dope Things is our Instagram handle. You want to follow me personally, then it's J_IZ_dope. So J is dope. You can follow us there. On Facebook, we're there at Dope Doing Our Part Eclectically, which is what it stands for. And you'll see our logo. It looks kind of like the love sign, but it's black and gold. So follow us. We are extremely active on social media, so you will get us there. I will tell you that.
There you go. And I'll tell you, she is answering the call. So if you reach out, I can assure you that Jay is going to engage you and make sure that you are able to play a part. Jay, we've got tons of EKGs. We're going to breeze through them. I'm glad you're with me. You ready for the EKGs?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
This is the EKG, the part of the show where we place America front and center on the monitors of the American people. We will look for irregularities in the heartbeat, offer solutions on the issues we find in order to make America healthy once again. So fire up the machine. Let's start the EKG.
This week's EKGs are brought to you by Dashuri CBD products. Make sure you check them out at mydashuri.com. Full minority owned and operated wellness company. Our first story, this one here, I love it. The largest Charlotte area venues are transforming into vaccine clinics. Now, the Spectrum Center, for those who are down in that area, if you understand that, and Charlotte Motor Speedway will offer COVID-19 vaccinations to people with appointments this coming weekend. Now, this is a second dose clinic at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for 16,000 people who got the shot through Atrium Health. And Novant Health is going to host a mass clinic at serving the historically underserved communities. Y'all understand what that means, and the 65 and over demographic. Now, the Hornets, you know, obviously they have their games there, but they're going to make adjustments as well because they want to see the win. And here's what Novant Health had to say. Jesse Curitan said, every single person we vaccinate is a win. It's a win for that individual. It's a win for their family. And it's a win for the broader community. Jay.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, they're opening up the Coliseums, the forums, the Barclays Center, the Spectrum Center. And so we're seeing, you know, these municipalities partner with private organizations who have these big spaces to make sure that people get a vaccine. What's happening in our underserved communities, like those who are still without housing? I mean, what happens for an individual that catches COVID in the middle of some of these housing scenarios?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's exactly what you assume. You know, it's their chances of surviving are not as likely as, I guess, one of us who are healthier. I noticed that a lot of our homeless friends, like, we don't see them anymore. So I don't know if they have passed away because of the pandemic. I don't know if because a lot of them are displaced because of the holiday season just recently leaving us. Whenever they do all the decorations, they get rid of them. My homeless friends, so a lot of them have been displaced too. So I don't know if they actually have been passed, like if they have passed away because of COVID. But I do know that they don't have the access that we have. So because of that, you know, I hate to say this, but that's one of the reasons that we give them clothing, because I guess if they look the part, then people treat them like they're human.
Wow.
Because if they come dressed in their everyday attire, you know, it's not easy to be like nice and neat, you know, while you're living on the streets.
Yeah.
But, you know, so we give them some clothing so they can get some help, and some of them have like received help. The only thing that they have full access to is needles and Narcan. It's the only thing I see, or sometimes condoms, but that's the only thing they all have access to. Other than that, they don't get access to anything else. So should we also, as we advocate for equity in the application of the vaccines, obviously for and for those who watched us in the beginning, Dr. Stephen Avenger talked about 40% of white populations in various cities or states, even like Delaware, are getting the vaccine. 5% of African Americans. Should we also fight and have a real fight for equity as it relates to those who are homeless right now? I mean, absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I believe that while we have this fire, because we all have, all of my African Americans, or just about all of them, have like that fire right now, because we're overwhelmed with so many things.
There's much to be fired up about.
So, so sorry, I'm at work, so if you see me looking around, that's good. But yeah, so we're all fired up right now. So let's use this opportunity and let's add them to the fire, please, because they're already in it. So, you know, while we have these protests, and while we're like bombarding city council, I'm not gonna say this on the radio. I'm a mess.
I got you.
But I will say, while that's all happening, I think that we should take that time to just, like, you know, go advocate for our friends. Even if it was, I believe that we can make this happen. That's something I'm going to work on now, because you just said it. But if they're having having access for so many of our African American brothers and sisters to receive the vaccine, then I'm wondering if I can connect with the Black Doctors Association and maybe have it for our homeless friends, because now you just planted that seed. So I'm thinking that's something that maybe we should connect with.
And we'll be glad to assist with that. Also, Dr. Avenger is working on a vaccination site at Greater St. Matthew, right in Nicetown. So there's yet another connection as well. So we'll make sure that Kendall brings us all together in
Yes.
the great ways that she does, and we'll sync up because we need to get behind you in addressing that issue. And so, broadcast audience, you already heard Dave's on top of this, so we need y'all to get behind this. Or any resources to bring to bear, please, by all means, do that. The other thing is, if you have the ability to get the vaccination, we obviously we brought doctors onto the show weeks ago to talk to you about vaccination, why it's important to do it, and we kind of dispelled some of these stereotypes.
Yes.
Wow. We also honored those hard truths of America in the testing that has occurred on the minority population. Nonetheless, if we don't get over this COVID-19 hump, which includes vaccination, we're going to have some real challenges because Black businesses suffer as a result. And so if you even care about the Black economic situation on our commercial corridors, you want this vaccination. You want to make sure that you can begin to move throughout our community in a very safe way. You just spoke about the appearance and what needs to happen with those who are underserved in that space. That's our next EKG. Let me go to this one really quickly. Deadline reports, and this is exciting. Alex Trebek, we know he just transitioned. He was the longtime host of Jeopardy, the television show. His wardrobe was donated to a homeless organization for job interviews. 14 suits, 58 dress shirts, 300 neckties, and other forms of clothing that once belonged to the Jeopardy hosts have been donated by the show and the Trebek family to the D.O.P.E Fund, an organization that provides paid work, housing, vocational training, continuing education, and social services to underserved Americans who deal with histories of addiction, incarceration, and homelessness. Jay, this is some of the stuff you do every day right here in the Delaware Valley. You're doing the clothing drive on a consistent basis. Talk about the impact for those who just think, oh, you know, this is just some tax write-off. I'll throw these clothes to the organization when I'm ready. You know, I'll get to it. They're sitting with 3 and 4 bags of clothes in their garage that they really could move. Talk about why it's so important to get off of our behinds and donate those clothes right now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. For 2 reasons. One, because a lot of our friends live in the street. They're cold and wet. They need something warm and dry to put on. That's first. And the second is sometimes they're shunned away from even like going to a restaurant and getting food because of their appearance. So I know that it can seem really minute and people can say, oh, well, but let me tell you this. It's important for them to look the part because, and unfortunately in our society right now, if you don't look the part, you're not respected. And that goes for our homeless friends as well as everybody else. But, you know, let's just help them out so they can receive the basic necessities that they really need. You know, they need to go to the supermarket, go to the doctor's office, even have to go to the ER. We want them to look the part so they can be accepted and treated, you know, fairly.
You know what's amazing? You talk about the need to focus on appearance from those who are dealing with these challenges of being homeless and maybe battling addiction. And we think of that as a secondary issue for that group. Yet we find ourselves all filtered up on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Some of us won't even take a photo unless it's ran through a filter and we've, you know, presented the part. It's now to the point where if we take a group photo, some of us delete the group photo because I don't look the part. And so if we can be that adamant about a digital photo that means nothing at the end of the day but these little megabytes of likes and hearts that don't translate to anything else, we certainly can do real tangible appearance solutions for those who are underserved. And so I need the broadcast audience to hear what Jay is saying. Get the clothes out of your garage, out of your closet in the back section where you don't even go no more, and get it to organizations like D.O.P.E, who are doing some incredible things. And so before we close this EKG, I need the broadcast audience to get the information again on connecting with you. And I'm asking you, everyone who's watching right now, you have at least one article of clothing. I have tons. I'm gonna join y'all. on this one, okay? That we're not wearing anymore because we had 3 more pieces of steak that we shouldn't have had, that we've just gone past in a fashion sense, whatever it may be. You have an opportunity to take some items and apply them to life-changing use for those of us who are going through some challenging moments. And so I'm asking you to find at least one article of clothing donated to doing our part eclectically and Jay and her movement. Jay, tell the broadcast audience how to get in touch with you so that they can donate these tangible items.
Yes, absolutely. Follow us on social media, okay? On Instagram is at dope people doing dope things. On Facebook, we're dope doing our part eclectically. Or if you want to call or text, give us a call at 267-538-8584. So thank you.
We thank you. We love you. We appreciate you, Jay. If you weren't doing this work, literally, this would be a much different place. And so we honor you and your commitment to our community in the various ways that you serve.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing light to what we do. You know, it's you that bring the greatest impact. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. You're doing the work. And we'll make sure that we connect with you and donate our clothes. All right.
Thank you.
So again, broadcast audience, please, please, please. There's at least one shirt. There's at least one pair of pants. There's at least a jacket. There's at least a pair of shoes that you can bring, if not individually, bring them all together. Put a whole outfit together and get that to Jay Crabbe and the great folk over at Doing Our Part Eclectically. We're going to make sure that we post that information on our social media pages. We are headed into the 2 o'clock hour. I am so excited about our next guest, Black Violin. You don't know anything about these brothers. I promise you, this here is a game changer. Two kings who have come together to do some amazing work in the music space, expert violinists. So as I am going through my violin training and education, I play behind Kev's solo on Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I would pull the video up because Will, you know, he brought some pipes into there too. And I see he's got a microphone in the green room. I'm going to bring him out to the stage too. These brothers are talented in so many ways, but they also have the Black Violin Foundation, a way that you can also support not only just music education, but impact in the communities. They are doing it around the country, and they have an album that we need to get behind, support, purchase, and get it into our iTunes and Google Play stores. And so on the other side of the break, you will hear from Black Violin. You're watching Heart City TV.
Let's stop coronavirus. Just follow these rules. Number 1, wash your hands. Isn't that what mom taught you? 2, don't touch your face. You're way too sexy for that. 3, cough into your elbow. Don't cough on other people. That's a fight where I'm from. 4, keep 1 meter distance apart. Back up and let me pay for these groceries, please. 5, feeling bad? Stay at home. Don't contact other people. Contact a doctor. Help stop coronavirus. Use common sense. Wake up, world. This was a public service message from your friends at Heart City.
Yo, what's up? This is Will I Am, and you're watching Heart City TV.
We're back. You're watching Heart City TV. We're in our second hour, songs in the key of life, playing the notes of change, of healing, of education, of empowerment. How we do that is so crucial. These two brothers are playing some amazing notes, some amazing songs in the key of life, not just on the strings, of the violin, but throughout the community through the Black Violin Foundation, some of the most talented artists that you will ever see. Their album, Take the Stairs, is up for the best contemporary instrumental album at the Grammys next month. I am excited to have these brothers with us, Wil Baptiste and our brother Kev.
What up? What up?
Welcome home to Heart City. It is great to have you both with us.
It's good to be here, man.
Thank you, Malik.
Thanks
for having us.
Hey, Wil, I gotta apologize. I was stalking you like a young boy on the gram. Like, who's this dude? But I came across the Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Kev, I ain't even gonna talk about them runs you do, bro. We're gonna talk offline because I need a little bit of that jungle juice to figure out how to pull it off. And you brothers are absolutely amazing, man to man. What you're doing is groundbreaking. It's not just, from the instrument that most brothers don't think about picking up, but your commitment also to the community and making sure that there's exposure to underserved communities in understanding not just the classical side of it, but learning how to turn it up a little bit on the violin. And so talk about both of your journeys. Wil, you have this amazing journey around music. For those who follow the violin or follow your Instagram, we're watching you do some amazing things. But how did you get to this point? Because the violin, again, is not something that brothers in the hood pick up. But you said, no, I'm going to take this and make a difference with it.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that we pick up, and that definitely didn't happen for me. I wanted to play the sax and they put me in the wrong class. True story.
Okay.
I wanted to play the sax. I went up to the band teacher and I was really excited. I was like, listen, I want to play the sax. What do I do? Told me to sign up, and I get the string teacher was in the same room.
Right.
And they just looked at each other like, and the strings teacher's like, listen, I want this kid in my class.
Wow.
And they were like, let's play golf for it, So they played golf. And the string teacher won, and then I was switched to his class, and went up to the class, and I was upset at first. I'm trying to play the cool instruments, the sax, the trumpet, you know what I'm saying? Where the drums at?
Right.
I was stuck with the class for like 3 weeks. It was like a summer program. I just took advantage of it, man. I think it was, like you said, man, the violin was always something that was just far reach. It was just something that was so far away for me, at least. You know what I mean? It never felt like anything that was something I could do, and I didn't care to do it. So when I started doing it, about a week, man, I felt like, okay, this is nice, this is cool, you know what I mean? And 27 years later, I'm still doing it.
You bring up a really good point. So I was serious, Kev, about getting those licks, bro. My first experience with the violin was almost similar to my dad pushing a flute. For me, Kev, it was like, all right, Dad, I'm gonna do this just because. Now I'm a guy who grew up on the keys, right? And from a music side, when I was in the music industry, I was managed by Cool from Kool and the Gang. He was the one who introduced me to the bass. So you got a guy, you have some representation there. It's cool, right? But I'm like, who are the cool brothers for the violin and the flute? Like, where does that happen? Kev, you play a role in creating the cool factor for those of us who now enjoy, because I fell in love with the violence, with the sound that comes off of this. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. And I hope to forever be in love in this way and be inspired by you guys. But talk about your journey, Kev. How did you get to this point of being this maestro of the violin?
Well, mostly it was because nobody expected me to, I think that was really my driving force. The idea that, I'm a big black dude, 280 pounds, 6'2". I could probably be selling you a dime bag or playing for the Dolphins or, whatever other stereotype you put on us. That's probably what I should be doing. But I'm not. I'm a violin player for 30 years, and we completely stripped the way people think about it. So for me, my story and my journey and why I still play to this day is because I'm not supposed to. And why it led us here is because we, just like you said at the beginning, is like, who do we look to as like, hey, that's somebody that's doing what we want to do. There was none of that. There was no representation for us, for our art, for hip hop, for the music we loved and our culture. So we created that. We saw the lack of, the void, the space that's there that was gaping, that seemed like it needed it. And, we fearlessly stepped into that space, regardless of what anyone thought, regardless of, oh, y'all too black, or y'all should put a white girl in the group, or, all the things that people say over the years in this music industry boardroom. We just didn't care about it. We stayed true, and we constantly try to, challenge what you think is possible. We challenge your wrong misconceptions of what a black man could do, what a violin could do, and what music could possibly sound like, and that's why we did it, is because we didn't see anyone else doing it. So, and it's not the reason why I play today, is still because I'm supposed to play.
Mm-hmm. And so Kev, you're on the violin. Will, you're on the viola. For those who don't know the difference, break it down really quickly, if you can, Will, the difference between the two instruments.
Right. It's basically the difference between a soprano and an alto. That's basically the difference. It's different strings, different tones. So, the viola is the fifth lower and the violin is the fifth higher, and it's just, viola's just sexier, look better.
She definitely thicker,
bro.
Definitely. She got more body. The viola's got more body.
Right.
So. What I mean? It's just, but the violin, that's what everybody knows. So, so you can have all the thickness, but the violin, that's what everybody knows.
So all right, so the violas, that's thickums at the club.
Yeah.
Basically, yes.
The violin is the one that has the voice.
Exactly, That's
There
it.
you go. All right. So let's talk about this, because since the both of you have been in the space, you have transcended the game, and I need you both to understand that. And I know you're in the middle of creating history. Those who are in the middle of creating history don't always understand its impact. But there's tons of YouTube videos now showing up. Brothers strolling down the block, playing violin. I mean, they're doing, everything from Tamia to Joe to, I mean, you name it, playing behind Drake records. And largely because Black violin is present in the space. What do you believe is the future of the viola space for African Americans? What's our trajectory here? Because there's also I'll call it the turn up side, which you guys do well. We've seen the videos where you're playing along with a brother, beatboxing and all of that.
Right.
But there's also a classical side,
right,
that leaves much to be desired in terms of representation. What are the possibilities?
I mean, I think the possibilities are limitless. I think, and that's the thing that I think classical music as a whole has never really expanded on. And I think what we've done is able to put these two worlds together. Now people from different walks of life can enjoy this art form. You know what I'm saying? This art form really needs it, because to be honest, classical music is fading away. You know what I mean? No one really, the loyal listeners of classical, the genre, is fading away. So they need to be more open to people like us, or just anybody that's really trying to expand on this art form. And that's the future of it, I think. And if they're really trying to sustain this, if it needs to be stable, they need to be able to expand it. And for us, man, as a people, man, listen, the reason why we're able to do what we do is because of hip hop. It's because of how we grew up. So that'll never change. As long as we're here and the culture's here, it's gonna expand, it's gonna go, man. I'm excited to see where it's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? Like, in 20, 25 years, I'm excited to see how the young kids growing up to, I'm excited to see what they're going to do. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point of what it is that we do. And that's the whole point of just art and music in general. You're supposed to take it to the next place. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think classical music as a whole, if you go to any concert right now, they're playing Mozart and Beethoven the same way, and there's very little room for trying it out and doing different things. I think in a lot of ways those composers looking back and saying, y'all ain't switching it up, y'all still doing it the same way. I mean, I know I wrote it, but you know what I'm saying. And that's the thing, and they need to be able to do that. They need to attract younger listeners, and that's where we come in. That's where we come in. If you understand what I'm trying to say, you know. So we're going to continue to do it. And it's, you know, it's limitless, man, with the potential, especially if we got anything to do with it. You know, once we involve, it can go anywhere.
Once Black Violin is on the scene, Kev, according to
Yeah.
it's on and popping. So you know, Will said, look, because of hip hop, we're here. You know, Black Violin has the footprint. What's your perspective, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, it's culture. You know, I mean, we, you know, Caribbean Americans. Will was born in the Caribbean. You know, so culturally we come from that. You know, we were studying classical music, but you know, walking to the bus, you know, I had Walkman on saying, I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller.
Yeah.
I had a boombox taped to my bicycle, and I was playing Regulators and everything the Brat was doing, and I was recording it from the radio onto my tape. We are hip hop, like, so it's like that's the culture that we came from. And then, but every day, second period, we were studying Mozart and Beethoven. So for us, it was just about kind of like blending the worlds together. And once we saw that people was just like blown away by it, it was just like, oh yeah, like this is what we're here for. This is what we're here to do, and this is our purpose. So we try to fulfill that as much as possible.
You know, it's amazing as I'm sitting here listening to the both of you. I think about just how complex we are as a culture. You know, many like to put us in a box commercially. Right. Because it makes sense for them. It's easy for them to digest that and message it out. But hip hop itself is very complex. You know, when you talk about the rhythms that are brought to it, you know, some of the licks that we use and the runs and the improv that's added, the jazz that was added into hip hop, the Caribbean influence that's added into the space. You know, when I think about the horns on records. I mean, at one point, you know, Larry Gold was like the guy to go to for strings, right? Y'all remember Larry, right? You had to stop by 7th and Callow Hill to get strings on your album. And now, because of, you know, Pro Tools and other, you know, MIDI-based things, we're able to add things from all walks of life, all kinds of ways. You guys are doing it the old school way. You're like, no, we're gonna play this out. Skip having the Triton keyboard and getting the sound just as close to it. No, we're actually going to put strings back into hip hop in some really unique ways. And so it goes beyond just sampling a sound. You are the sound. That's the difference. Black Violin is the sound. And so what's in the future for Black Violin? I mean, we can talk about this right now too. There's an album up for Grammy consideration. Look, hey, Kev did the whole, he did the hip hop. Great stuff. Congratulations to you both for such an amazing feat. But that's not the pinnacle. There's still much further to go. What's in the trajectory for Black Violin?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much, you know. I mean, first, like the Grammy just out of nowhere. Like we don't try for any of this type of stuff, you know. We just we made an independent album, we financed and created ourselves. Okay. And now we, you know, we're being honored, I guess, by our peers, and it's a blessing, you know. We want to win it for sure, but that's not what we do this for, you know. We do this to, you know, affect change. We do this to perform for hundreds of thousands of kids a year. We do this to give our platform a higher, you know, our foundation, a bigger platform, you know, where we can actually do some things, you know, raise real money, give kids opportunities they can never have before. And then I think also we just want to be able to express ourselves in a clear, authentic way where we are not sugarcoating or being anybody else. We love using our platform, you know, not just to talk about, you know, notes and, you know, flats and sharps, but talk about, you know, the injustice in our streets, the things that we are not, you know, getting from our government at whatever time, the things that our community needs and are lacking. You know, we're here to be able to use our voice as a platform, you know, and we look at it as a responsibility. And, you know, so from what to expect from Black Violin is more of that, you know, expect more of our platform and our brand to be centered on justice and equality for all of us, including, especially Black and brown people, especially people that look like us that don't have the the resources that others do. So, that is what you can expect from us. If we win awards along the way, or if you have good times at concerts, that's great too. But ultimately, we've been doing this for 20 years. I think the next 20 years are just about making sure that we leave the world and our art forms respectively better than we found them.
So, Will, it must be an amazing thing to be able to affect social change as an artist, right? Many of us look at that from the standpoint of rappers. It's very easy for a rapper, to be incarcerated, to be shot at, whatever, and then there's a narrative, and then they're able to stand on that narrative and run forward. It's another thing to be the cool violinist with social change as a focus. Talk about that space. What are some of the advantages of that space? Because obviously there's an expectation, and then also an expectation in the negative to attempt to block it on the hip hop side when you talk about a rapper, but they don't even see you coming. They really don't. And you brothers are so smooth about it. You're like, you want to hear it classically? We'll start there. Then I'll go on to DMX and hit you with a little bit of that. And now I'm talking about this, and and so they never ever see this impact coming. And so talk about that space, the advantages there, and then more importantly for the broadcast audience who's listening, who's going, no, this is not just about music. This is about the movement. How do they get in touch and support you guys with the Black Violin Foundation and movement?
Well, the thing about it is, as much as I would like to say this was something that was intentional, we started producing, working on music and creating this idea of classical hip hop. It definitely wasn't anything we thought of like, let's try to make this social change. You know what I'm saying? I think as we got older and as we're creating music, we're performing, and we see it, man. Like we travel, we see it. It was just, like I think of all these great artists, like the Curtis Mayfields of the world, the Marvin Gayes, and they're the artists of the time. You know what I mean? They're basically a mirror. You know what I mean? And projecting that mirror to the world, and that's what we're here to do. And as we got older as artists, man, we needed to do that. There's no other choice. You know what I'm saying? We got to be the voice for the voiceless. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is, and it definitely wasn't something that we went out to do. I'm gonna be real and be honest. But as we work, because we are from a world where, I remember being in an orchestra in high school and going to like an orchestra, being the only Black kid in that orchestra. This is the space that we grew up in, so we get the looks, we see the lack of representation, so we understand what it is. So it was just very natural for us to just talk about the things that we talk about. The idea of stereotype, the idea that the way that you are and who you are, where you look, that you're not capable of these certain things. I mean, we had to, you know what I'm saying? And for a lot of ways, it was our way of letting it out, letting the frustrations out too. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we live in that world, we live in a world that's very, you know what I'm saying, it can be hostile, you know what I'm saying? Performing with an orchestra, and you doing your thing, and the orchestra is looking at like, man, why am I here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a classically trained violinist. I'm here backing up these guys. You know what I mean? Like that kind of vibe and that kind of attitude. So we live in that world, so we get it. So and for us, what we talk about when we speak, it's just natural for the do. We have to. I mean, it's in a lot of ways, as an artist, man, that's the blessing of it. Like, we have a way to let it out. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people aren't as fortunate to kind of like have a platform to do it, and that's what we're here to do, man. We're here to really be the voice for the voiceless, and obviously with our foundation, man. Our foundation, basically what we try to do is we try to connect dots. And growing up and playing the violin, we had a lot of situations where people were, like our teacher, shout out to Mr. James Miles, who came in and bought me an instrument when I needed it to prepare me for college. Did the same for Kev, and
wow,
really was that missing piece, and really provide us with things that were necessary. And our foundation, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to really, fill that gap, man, for kids that are really talented and have skills and just need a flight to New York to audition or needs an instrument, whatever it is, just to really fill that void. And our foundation is about that. If you want to donate and check out, if you want to audition, I think we're opening up enrollment now for the grants that we're giving out. Go to blackviolinfoundation.org. And yeah, that's what we're about, man. And for us, man, it's necessary. Like as much as it feeds us, you know what I mean, to be able to do something that we love, but we see the effect of it. It's a superpower, man. We have, the ability to do something that you love, and it's not difficult, and the effect that you have on people. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you can't swallow that. You can't play with that. You can't play with emotions. You can't, you know what I'm saying? And for us, we have to, for us, we look at it, we have to be able to use our voice in a way that we can empower, because we have powers now. You know what I'm saying? Like I got a S on my chest right now. You know what I mean? Like I got to be able to use that in the right way. So yeah, man, long-winded answer.
No, it's a necessary answer. Take the stairs.
Absolutely.
The Stairs. That is the title of your album that is up for Best Contemporary Instrumental Album at the Grammys. Kev, what can they expect from that album for those who don't have it in the library? First and foremost, broadcast audience, download it right after the show. All right, support our brothers. But talk about that album and what it was like to create that album and what we can expect.
Definitely. This is our fourth album. We have a fifth one that just came out too, a holiday one. And to date, that was probably our most cohesive project. We walked in the studio with our producer, Phil Bodro, and then we just simply wrote on a piece of paper, we just wrote in big block letters, "Hope," and we just put it on the wall. And it was like, everything that we do about this project is going to be woven with hope somehow, some way, whether it's the sound of an organ that gives you that feeling, or it's, the lyrics "impossible is possible," a dream, or some of the themes that keep, kind of showing up. Everything, the vibrations of how we play the violin needed to be hopeful. Everything needed to be hopeful, but we want to be hopeful without being preachy. We want to be, hopeful where it makes you feel it, but it's not, necessarily like, go out there and be your best. It's not about that. It's about, when you listen to it, it feeds you. We wanted it to be like a reference book, something that you go back to often when you need to, feel hopeful, something that you can refer to, sort of like, I have the 7 spiritual laws of success, or the Bible, or, just different things where I go to when I just need to read a couple passages to get me right. That's what Take the Stairs is. And it's also sort of a manifesto for 2 brothers that grew up in Fort Lauderdale that took the stairs. We've been offered, elevators, whether it's, America's Got Talent has called us every year, that they've been in existence. And, and it seems like, hey, why don't I go on America's Got Talent? There's plenty of people. It's like, we straight, we like to control our own narrative, control our own art, and do it our own way, and, maybe some people along the way is like, dang, you could have probably got there quicker if you would have done it. But now we look back at it, we took the stairs, and now we nominated for Taking the Stairs independently. We're not signed to no major. We've done that before. We're not signed to nobody. These 2 brothers right here, we put it together. We got in the studio with Phil Bodro and put together an album that, our peers have now recognized as being worthy. So, that says everything. That's what it is. It says everything about what this album is, what music can be, and it's a really great honor to have the Academy just acknowledge us for being young, Black, and determined, and doing it our own way and taking the stairs.
And ownership is so important for those. I know we talk about. I get it, folk. But Master P isn't the only entrepreneur in the music space. It's not just Puff. It's not just Jay. There are many who are making moves, doing it independently, especially in this new landscape. Technology has changed the game. Before, we needed an A&R to guide us through it, to walk us, to advocate, at the label to get it done. And somebody had to talk to promotions and distribution to make sure we got the right placement. Now, you guys are making the moves all on your own, and the industry is taking notice. Talk about, and Will, I think this is really important for people to get, the power of owning your own. And making sure that you are in control of your sound, because I think I'm biased, artist, but you know, there's nothing worse than placing a beautiful sound in dangerous hands. One
Man.
that care about that sound and they're going to exploit it. You've protected your sound throughout this journey, and so talk about the importance of ownership right now.
Like you said, man, the importance of ownership is control. You gotta be able to control your narrative, especially as an artist, you know, especially us as a culture, man. I think one of the things that bother me the most about music and our music is that we don't control our music in the grand scheme of things, you know. That's the biggest, man, that's the biggest thing that really eats at me every day, you know, when I think about it, especially our music when I happen to listen to the radio, you know. We don't control it at all, you know what I'm saying? And with us, man, it's just very important for us to control our music and control our narrative. You know, I don't want no one coming at me telling me this song shouldn't be on here because it's not
right.
It's not talking about, no, like, you know what I'm saying? This is my expression. This is me talking to the world. This is me putting the mirror up and being vulnerable. This is me exposing myself to the world. You telling me no, like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy, you know? So it was crucial for us to, especially because we dealt with the label thing before, and then we understand what that is, and we understand the pushbacks, and we get it, you know what I'm saying? And this time was just like, no, there's no way we're gonna do this and have someone control what it is. And for us, and as an artist, man, that's the most liberating thing, to be able to just be free.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing on your shoulders. You're just like, you know, you wake up in the morning, just breathe and just take a, you know, just relax, because you know you're free. You're not thinking about, oh, this thing that I released, I'm not comfortable with. Everything I'm doing right now, I'm comfortable with. This interview, I'm cool with. Every conversation I have, I'm good with. Every music I put out, I'm good with, man, because it's me. It's not somebody else's. It's not somebody else. I'm not putting on a mask trying to be like nobody else, you know? So, man, it's so liberating, man. I encourage everybody. And no matter what it is you're doing, like, it don't even got to be music. It could be a business. It could be anything. You know what I'm saying? Be careful who controls what it is that you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to look at yourself when people come at you and like, listen, I want to give you this, I want to give you that. There's a reason why they're coming at you. You know, they see potential. They see someone they can potentially take something from. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you shouldn't collaborate with people. That's not what it is. But you need to understand you and control what it is that you're projecting out into the world, because any little thing could be manipulated to something that is not who you are. And next thing you know, you sitting at home, can't go to sleep because you're thinking about whatever it is that's on the internet. You know what I mean? So you know, and it's about being free too. You know, there's more than one way to be free, man. And owning and having your own and having ownership is is the ultimate freedom, man.
That it is.
Man,
That
it
is. Listen, our chat. I'm enjoying the comments of those who are on the Facebook and the Twitter and YouTube feeds. So Doug Reed says, we appreciate the sound of these brothers. He put 100s behind that. So the culture is speaking. So Doug is a part of a group called Black Men Heal. They're doing national work around mental health for brothers, and so it's going to be good. Maybe you guys should cross paths in another space, because I think, you know, the sound of what you guys are doing in terms of healing may make a major difference. Angela Duckett, who has an amazing podcast out, she's talking about authenticity. That's her focal point. She says, look, take the stairs is a whole word. Indeed, that it is. Hashtag heavy. Tammy Lamont, she just joined us on Facebook. She says, look, I love this. She's in the space dealing with early childhood education and our young folk in the middle school space. It's important, especially because music, home ec, all that stuff was the first things to go out of the school, right? And so having music come back in also with people that our children can relate to makes sense. Sonia Sessom says, legit. Hashtag control the narrative. Y'all about to create a whole bunch of juggernauts, Black Violin army out here controlling their narrative. So it's clear that you guys are making a difference and that you're changing the game. Let me ask you, songs in the key of life. When you think about a song that is in the key of your life, that has made a difference to you. Kev, what song comes to mind?
Well, that might be kind of a shameless plug, but we just put out a song today. And this song that we put out today, NPR hit us up like a month ago, and they asked us to write a song about what we're feeling right now.
Wow.
And I'll be honest, like I wasn't in a creative space at all. Like, we just put out an album in December. I was in a creative space. I was writing. I was like actually writing a book, writing little short stories. So I was creative, but I wasn't really musical. But they kind of made us be musical.
Okay.
So Will and I kind of sat in the studio and really thought about it. It's like, think about the insurrection. Think about, George Floyd and the protests that happened. Of course, think about COVID, the people that we've lost, people that we lost in our family. My brother's in the hospital right now fighting COVID. So it's like all of that is in my head, and we're thinking about that. And we sat down and wrote a song, and it aired on Morning Edition this morning. And the song was called Time to Shine, and it's out now. I'm not saying it just because, but for real, like when you talk about a song in the key of life, this song is currently in our life. It's something that we just spawned and pulled out, that it just really felt. And look, when we were thinking about it, I was like, we could go really dark here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, we had, white supremacists, up in the Capitol the other day. Almost, we had 500,000 people dead with COVID. You know what I mean? Like so much going on, but we thought about it was like, it's really about where we can grow from this. Okay. What are the silver linings from this? And, and the song, is called Time to Shine, find the, what is it? Time to shine, out the darkness comes the light. And that's the idea that we kind of went with. So that's sort of the song that's in my key of life right now. That's what's on my mind, and the freshest thing that we've written, so that's kind of my answer to that.
So clearly, Will, y'all are like two Baptist preachers on the low, because Time to Shine, Take the Stairs. These are all sermon notes. Jakes, John Gray, Mike Todd. Y'all might have to slide out the way.
Hey man, we preaching good, man.
They're their own worship leaders and can bring the word. Will, what's your song in the key of life?
Man, I think for me, like I think about an artist that embodies this, just songs that just make you feel like, I don't feel like going to work, but you know what, I'm gonna put on these pants, put these boots on, and get up, get out there, because I got these kids. And I just think of Curtis Mayfield, man, one of my favorite artists, and a song that I think about, what I a little bit would play every morning, you know what I'm saying, as I'm, making breakfast for my kids and stuff, is Keep On Keeping On. Just real simple, just kind of like, listen, man, it's tough, it's a grind, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot going on. There's a lot being thrown at us at every angle. Like Kev said, man, COVID is just really, really just, creating havoc in everyone, right, around the world. And so, we gotta have things that are going to make us feel like keeping on, keep going, you know what I mean? And Curtis Mayfield, keep on keeping on, it's one of the songs that I play all the time. And and it's funny, people always ask me like, what made you like Curtis Mayfield? I don't know, man. It's just something about the energy and the vibe. Obviously I didn't grow up in that time necessarily, but beautiful music is beautiful music no matter what time,
Indeed.
And it's just something that really always spoke to me, something I listen to every day. And it's just like, you need that sometimes, just something that just makes you listen. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's hope, you know what I'm saying? We all need it, man. We all need it, especially now.
Yeah. It's interesting. You bring up Curtis Mayfield. My dad is like a stunt double for Curtis Mayfield, man. If you see him, he wears the Apple hats, like literally, he has the glasses, same frame, style, everything. And so while he wasn't necessarily musically inclined, I woke up every day inspired by looking at this brother who embodied, and had some of the same elements of brothers like Curtis. And through him, he knows this now, statute of limitations is passed, but I would sneak downstairs in the middle of the night while they were asleep. And he had a 12-inch player, but he had like Chicago, War, Mandrill, the Brothers Johnson, Curtis Mayfield, and these are all original 12 inches, man. Now, I didn't understand what I had at the time, but back then I should have been like, Dad, hold on to these, eBay's coming, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so I jacked up a couple of your albums, Pop. My bad. But I learned from him the value of our music, the value of our culture, the strength in our culture, and the possibilities with the power of the pen. And so you had a theme that I think we're going to continue with, Will, which was, you know, giving something that folk can keep moving on with and keep doing what they do. We like to bring surprises every now and then over here at Heart City. And so when we knew you were coming, we partnered with a legendary painter here in the Delaware Valley. Her name is Wendy Medley. Her company, Painting Pretty, has done some tremendous work. She just actually painted the Amanda portrait that had Michelle Obama and Vice President Kamala Harris. It actually went viral, was #1 for about a week and a half across, you know, the landscape. I'm 43. I don't know how to go viral anymore. I just put it out there and hope something happens. But she figured all of that out. Nonetheless, when we told her that you were coming on the space, she decided that she wanted to do something to help the two of you keep moving on. And so I'm going to bring in Wendy Medley from Painting Pretty. Wendy, with us. And so Black Violin meet Painting Pretty. Painting Pretty meet Black Violin. Next to Wendy is something that looks kind of familiar to you, brother. So Wendy, if you can, I'm gonna let you narrate from this point. Bring it to the light so these brothers can see. Bring it up to the camera.
That is beautiful.
Lovely.
A lot of palm trees at the bottom too.
Yep.
That's fire.
Thank you. So I want to let you guys know that you are super inspiring. Your music is ridiculous. Like, I can have a bland day and put on A flat and everything just turns dramatic. I can make A's and it's just like a whole movie. So if I'm driving, if I'm painting, it's like it just creates a whole different atmosphere. Stereotypes is popping. Like the classical music, and y'all embraced it. Y'all didn't run away from it, and y'all just freaked it. It was extremely creative and extremely inspiring. So I just wanted to say you guys are super dope.
Thank you. So are you. That is amazing. Look at that, man. Boy, that boy on the right, boy, he's a handsome one. What?
Hey, Will, Kev going rogue on you, man. That's like the second time he done went rogue on this interview, bro. Hey, Wendy, if you don't mind, I want to make sure that we highlight you for a second and bring this up to the forefront so that the visitors can actually see it. Can you bring that up to the light so that all can see it? That is incredible. It looks like there's a moon.
And there. Skyline down at the bottom.
There you go.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's incredible. Like, what are you gonna do with that? Like, I mean, I have ideas. I was like, can we sign it and then we I think we should sign it and then we should, like, you know, get it for charity and raise money or something. Like, we should like do something crazy with it, like something that, like, you know, get back with it, you know.
Flesh and blood did not reveal that to you, my brother. So literally, that was our plan, was to donate it to you for the Black Violin Foundation. And so we are excited that y'all already embrace the concept. Take it and run with it. I know Kendall is already speaking with your management, and we're going to make sure that Wendy and your management connect so that you guys can not only work on this project, but, you know, but look, I see some custom violins being given away somewhere down the line. Like, there's some stuff in the works that can happen. And so, Wendy, I'm putting this on you. Any final thoughts, questions that you have for our brothers?
No, I just want to tell you guys to keep pushing it and just keep breaking down barriers. You have a lot of people that look up to you. I personally look up to you, and just keep creating soundtracks, because I swear my whole life is a soundtrack right now. Everything is super dramatic when I put y'all music on. So just keep pushing and keep creating.
Thank you. You too, Wendy. This is fire.
Thank you.
I'm loving that, boy.
Let me give you guys some of the feedback. So Doug Reed said, Painting Pretty put me down with Black Violin. I've been blessed ever since. Sonia Sessom, so
Ooh,
amazing.
that's
Angela
crazy.
Duckett said beautiful. Wow. Tamara Lamont said that's dope. I mean, the list goes on. Sherelle Brown giving love in the space. It's very clear that you guys have had an impact on the game and inspiring others to do just that as well. Well, you up there taking shots. All right, Wendy, we got you know what I mean? might end up on the gram.
Right.
Painting pretty, right? There we go.
Yeah.
Love it.
Nah, we appreciate it, man. I mean,
thank you so much. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So, Wendy, now that you're in the interview, you're now going to be in the hot seat a little bit because I had a Q&A that I was going to end this interview with. And so I'll make it a round robin style. And so, you know, hip hop suggests ladies first. Some of y'all get that on the ride home. Some of y'all ain't old enough. But we do word association here. We throw out a word. You give one word. The first word that comes to mind. Love.
Sex.
Okay. you can Kev on. Kev was
oh, it's on me? Okay. Honor is what I was gonna say.
Honor.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
Will.
Black.
Black. Kev. History.
Black.
Wendy.
Royal.
Will.
Necessary.
Message. Will, on you.
Life.
Wendy.
Bible.
Kev.
Power.
Power. Last one. Legacy. Will, right back at you.
Children.
Children are indeed. Kev.
Everything.
Ooh, everything. Wendy, close us out.
Art. Period.
Period. She painted that on too. Right there. Little smudge. Right there. I absolutely love it. Listen, brothers, we love you, man. I need y'all to hear that from one black man to your hearts. We love y'all. The work that you're doing is transformational. It's groundbreaking. It was much needed in the space, and although there's more to be done, it's easier because you guys took the time and the commitment to actually get out there in the space and do it. It's not easy walking in classically trained rooms knowing that you're equally as qualified, if not better, but because of skin and because of perception, you're looked at in a different light. It's interesting when you have people who are supposed to be playing behind you to support you, looking at you, wondering why they're there, as if you're not qualified, as if you're not the leaders that you are. You took all of that, and rather than making it an issue, posting it on Facebook and becoming, an internet warrior for justice, you said, no, we'll make change through the strings. We'll make change through the songs. And then we'll take the dollars and the resources to give back and make sure that we have a footprint. It's one thing to have somebody that lifts you up. It's another thing to have the hand below to lift another up. You made sure that you did that. For that, we are forever grateful, and consider Heart City home for you. Anything you got going on, new videos you're dropping, Kev, if you want to actually show some legs, Will, I mean, honestly, the way you plucking, bro. Listen, you pluck like Babyface plays guitar. I'm trying to figure that out. I don't know how dudes could take a viola and bang it out like they Carlos Santana, but somehow it goes down. And so there's a whole Black Violin Institute that I see down the line. I'm just going to leave it out there.
Definitely.
I'm just going to leave that out there. But when you're ready for that, whether it be foundational support, anything that we can do to bring corporate, sponsors and partners to bear, we got to get behind you and make sure that there's a black violin, and I see this, a black violin literally a monument somewhere in the hood, in a park somewhere, that will remind us of the excellence that lies in the both of you. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Wow,
brother.
thank you.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Wendy, for that beautiful art too.
No problem, guys.
Thank you, Wendy.
All right, Wendy, thank you so much for what you did. You know, it was short notice. You got commissions beyond commissions, but you stopped and said, look, I'm gonna put the album on. I'm gonna take the stairs myself.
I had to. They're phenomenal. The music is crazy.
Listen,
thank you
for all that you're doing. Know that your work is going to go far beyond the canvas and change many lives and impact moments just like it's doing right now. And for that, we love you and honor you.
Thank you, and thank you for the support, Malik.
Always, always. And so you've heard from Black Violin. Will and Kev gave us some amazing wisdom, perspective, advice. These brothers are serious about changing the game, and know that, you know, in many spaces and places, we like to place the game changers on the front lines of the protests. We need them to have a bullhorn, and we need them to yell at the machine because that's what media would suggest, what marketing messages would suggest. But know that there are those who don't have to hit the boardroom in order to change the mindsets of those who are in the boardroom. They don't have to stand behind the picket line in order to erase the lines that separate us. Sometimes it's just the stroke of the string. It's the bowing of the string. Sometimes it's playing the keys. Sometimes it's the poetry and prose that goes into the record. Remember, our musicians, our music has kept our hearts at peace when all else was in chaos. Our music has given us a message even when those who sought to keep us from understanding the message fought that music, wanted to suppress it. It was our message that also gave perspective when folk decided that the hood wasn't good enough for them to go into to understand the plight of our people. It's our message that empowers us even now in the middle of extreme political climate to push better, to search for better, to take the stairs, as Black Violin says, to elevate ourselves to be better, not just for ourselves, but for our family, for our communities. Black Violin is something special. I need you. Do me a favor, download, take the stairs right now, tweet it out, retweet, support these brothers in the space. And as they get together to do the Black Violin Foundation, make sure you donate. A child's life will be changed as a result of their work and as a result of your support as well. Support Painting Pretty and the great work that she is doing in the space, not just to educate youth, but from the entrepreneurial side. And make sure you support all of her movement. The Dream, you're going to see that painting as well up for auction with Spread Karma. We're in a partnership with them as well to raise money for some great initiatives in South Jersey. All of this comes together because of you. I need you to know that. In every show, it becomes more and more clear just how much of a blessing you are to all of us. And so I'm going to ask you to simply do one other thing. Be a blessing in just one more small way. It's really simple. You can subscribe. Go to our YouTube channel. Just click the link. And for those of us who have journeyed with us from terrestrial radio, you know, we've enjoyed years on broadcast radio, but we're now on a digital dial. It is a different landscape, so much more easier to communicate and connect with you in various ways. But when you connect with us by subscription, you get notifications, you get updates, bonus content, and more. All you got to do is click the link and then click the little bell. It'll let you know that there are shows and content coming. Please support Black Violin. Please support Painting Pretty. Please support J. Crabbe and doing our part eclectically. Our call to action was really simple. I just need you to go in your wardrobe, a shirt, pair of pants, a jacket, pair of shoes, get them together, donate them to doing our part eclectically to make sure that our homeless population has all that they need, and make sure that you support our brother Adama Bracewell, get his books Ready for Relationship, and understand how to heal and change your life, change your perspective, change your mindset. I'm going to do just that, connect with my brother and detox, because we all need it, myself included. I hope this show has been a blessing to you. You can find us and follow us on all social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And as always, feel beautiful, look beautiful, and act beautiful. Why? Because you truly, truly are beautiful. I'll see you next week.